What's your true life story that nobody will believe? My dad was married 2 times before my mom. When he was with his second wife, he would travel a lot for work, which I knew. What I didn't know is that one night he came home to find his wife in bed with another man. Actually walked in on them. He left the room and came back with a gun, shot the man dead, and wounded his wife. He turned himself in immediately and was sent to prison. He was sentenced to 10 years in a maximum security prison. In the last year he was in prison, which was the 4th year, he got out for good behavior, and since the judge ruled it a crime of passion, he met the prison minister. The prison minister was my mom. My dad is a murderer. My mom was the minister. I am the product of a conjugal visit. I was sitting on the curb of a busy intersection with my girlfriend at the time when a car approaching the intersection hit a rabbit. The rabbit was in mid-stride, and it flew forward instead of getting squashed. The rabbit flew a few feet and landed in my lap. Both me and the rabbit survived. R.I.P. girlfriend. In college I had a bunked bed with my desk under it. I was in bed reaching for my cell on the desk and lost my balance. Fell off the bed, did a full flip and landed in a perfect sitting position in my chair unharmed. My roommate witnessed everything but nobody believed us. I had the lofted college bed too, and in an attempt not to wake my sleeping roommates, I stepped on my desk, slipped on my desk calendar, landed on my butt and somersaulted backwards so I managed to hit every vertebrae on the floor ending with my head hitting the chair. My roommates heard the noise and tried to act like I was a toddler who fell, by yelling you're okay so I wouldn't cry. It worked. This is weirdly cute. At 25 I owned an illegal casino boat in Key West, Florida and I now owe the government $5 million. What are they doing to make sure you pay them back? They stopped calling years ago. Okay, here we go. I had to jerk into a cup to count my soldiers because I had a long-time testicle infection. Sorry, you have to use the children's room. Every other room is occupied. So as I enter the room I see Sesame Street books, stuffed animals, colorful walls and a clock on the wall having animals as numbers. The nurse tells me that there are no porn magazines available and I tried to be funny and said doesn't matter, Ernie and Bert are enough for me to get off. She did not get the joke. Then she asked me if I know how to masturbate and gave me a quick rundown on how to masturbate, all the while looking disgusted and angry. Okay, so there I was, in a children's room in a urology clinic trying to masturbate into a cup while stuffed animals were looking at me with a nurse right in front of the door. I heard her telling the other nurses my fetish about Sesame Street. They all laughed. I had to start over. When I got to the point where I thought that I could fill the cup, the ducking clock on the wall started to moo and make ducking loud cow noises because it was 12 o'clock. I must have sighed very loudly because the whole floor went nuts and started laughing even harder. Start over NR2. When I finally finished and left the room the nurses were still laughing. I once fought a swan. Were you two fighting for the favor of a female swan? No. Money. Edit. The swan stole my money. I was eating at a Chipotle when someone flies their helicopter there, parks in the parking lot, gets a burrito, and then takes off in his helicopter. When I was a kid, let's say around 9, I said to myself out loud I really want to see an owl and I shit you not an owl landed on my fire escape and looked at me. We made eye contact and we had a connection. No one believes me because we live in NYC and it was daylight but I swear it was an owl. I've seen birds that you wouldn't place in the city before as well so yeah. My cousin and I, both males, were about 12 years old and as most 12-year-old boys like to do we were climbing things. We decided to climb onto the roof of a house and everything went smooth. We got up and hung out and talked about how awesome we were for conquering this mountain of a house. Well, we go to get down and we have to drop down and hang and get our feet on a railing on the back porch. My cousin goes first and he gets down no problem exactly as planned so I was feeling confident as ever. I scoot to the side of the house and grab the roof and drop down to hang. Well, my grip wasn't what I thought it was and I lost hold of the house and just like in the movies landed with one leg on each side of the rail. I just rolled off to my right so that I would land on the deck and could cry in the fetal position but I didn't realize the grill was right there so I hit my head on the grill on the way down. I had to go to the hospital because my sac was black and blue and a nice young nurse got to scan my balls to make sure there was no serious damage. Luckily there were no lasting effects and I can look back on it and laugh now. TL. Dr. Humpty Dumpty'd but luckily didn't need put back together. I ate 5 pounds of stale Haribo in one night, didn't shit for a week, then had the most intense shit of my life. The most intense experience of my entire life. I was thinking about calling 911 during the build up to that shit, while crowning. I actually put 911 into my phone app and was seriously contemplating calling an ambulance. But after I got through it, I felt fantastic. Like I could do cartwheels. Like I was walking on air. I've had numerous wild creatures come up to me at random times, with absolutely zero fear. In college, I was walking through the woods that stretched between my dorm and the football field, where I parked my car. There was this clearing that overlooked the field, and the track team was practicing. My roommate was a vaulter, so I stopped to watch for a little bit, and leaned up against a tree. I had an apple in my purse, and eventually I felt this little nudge. A fawn had come up and was nosing my bag. I stood stock still and just let it sniff me, and saw mama deer was a few feet away. Very slowly, I reached into my bag, and baby bounded away. I took the apple and set it on the ground, and walked away really slowly. Later that afternoon, I was cutting through the woods again, and the apple was still there, but with bites out of it. I've also been hiking and had squirrels and bunnies come up to me with no issue. Birds will land near me and not fly away. It's pretty awesome, but because it will only happen when I'm alone, I don't tell anyone. It's like my own little secret, that I may actually be Snow White. That is ducking amazing. She's clearly a Disney princess. This story is weird, because, not only do others not believe it, besides the witnesses, but I hardly believe it either, and I'm the one who did all these things. Anyway, here goes. 20 years old. Go to Cuba with 3 girlfriends. I'm a guy. Obviously, I want to get my drink on as they say, so the first thing I do is start drinking excessively. There's a bar in the pool, so, swim up, drink, swim around, swim up, drink, swim around, and so on. I get pretty blackout hammered on the first day and wake up groggy the next morning. This is where it gets interesting and funny and I don't remember shit. As I walk down to the pool buffet area the next morning, I get a round of applause. I'm confused. Very confused. Staff are, not to toot my own horn, basically calling me a hero. I'm really confused. I find my friends who are already eating and am about to ask them what's up when one of them jumps up and hugs me kind of teary-eyed. And again, I'm confused. So I ask them what the duck is going on. This is what they tell me. The previous evening, the girl who hugged me was semi-drunk and fell in the pool after dark. The lifeguard was already off duty but I was apparently hanging around. Others too, but they didn't really realize what was happening because they weren't paying attention to her. Since she was semi-drunk and is a notoriously poor swimmer, she started sinking. After about a minute, she claims she was in there at least a minute before passing out. I jump in and pull her out. I gave her CPR and everything. TL. DR saved my friend from drowning while drunk. Don't remember it. Side note, we also had sex on a subsequent night, but I only have very fuzzy memories of it, also due to inebriation.